Hello, and welcome to Learning with Natural Hair. So, if you have been with me for the long haul, or if you've gone back through my videos, then you might notice a familiar face. This is my niece.
Hello.
I believe she was with me in video number one when I was doing an example of doing natural hair. Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
How about you?
Yeah, lots have changed since that first video. It's been how many years?
I think like at least 10 years last time I checked. I was
I
pretty
think
surprised.
I was in undergrad at a community college, which I've been to a few different or four different undergrad colleges before I went to
Yeah.
do my medical programs. And then my niece, she said you in high school in that video?
19, I think. If it's 10 years, it's
She was
19.
yeah, so maybe just out of high school. Then.
Yeah.
And now she's a teacher with her master's.
Yes.
I'm a chiropractor and a doctor in naturopathic medicine. So yes, God is good, and He's really broken barriers in our family, and even with natural hair. I think that's another type of barrier breaker. But we're talking about natural hair journeys tonight.
Yes.
So we're just gonna go through some of the things I kind of talked about on my own, but with another person. And maybe going a little bit deeper into that and interviewing her, and she'll get to interview me with some questions if she wants to also.
Yeah.
So I hope you enjoy. So how long have you been natural?
So let's see. I think I was a sophomore in high school. I do remember in high school that's when I began my natural journey.
Yeah, so I wouldn't, I guess, consider myself being natural in high school, even though when I was in like my junior year, part of my senior year, maybe part of my sophomore year, I wore braids a lot. So some of my natural hair was kind of growing out into the braids as hair grows out, but I hadn't fully embraced my natural hair. So yeah, it's been, I think, since 2009 for me. So quite a while now.
Okay.
And it's been a journey, and still a journey, still learning, still overcoming some of the mental emotional stuff that we're going to talk about.
Oh yeah.
So I'm not sure exactly how her journey's been with that. So I'll be learning some things about my own niece tonight too.
Yeah.
She's taller than me. People think we're sisters a lot of times.
Yes.
But yeah, I know some of the things that I had to deal with. I know some of the cultural stuff that was kind of underneath, or not even always underneath the surface. Sometimes it was just straight out in the open. And kind of how mentalities work, and kind of how do we get there. Some of the things that are interesting to talk about. So, what would you say you attribute transitioning back to natural? Because we both had seasons of being relaxed.
Yeah.
For me, it was a lot of the time in my let's see. I mean, obviously, I wasn't relaxed as a baby, but there was a good amount of my youth, my childhood, and I'm just going to be reaching a little bit. There's a good part of my youth that I was relaxed, even up through high school. So it was quite a long time. And interestingly, there's some news out about how bad relaxers are for us, for our bodies.
Yeah.
So thank God that He does all things well, and there's a reason for why He does what He does. Sometimes we don't always understand things, but it's better to go with God's way, right, and stay as close to nature as possible. That's with food, that's with body products, and obviously with our hair too.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So what do you think you attribute it to going natural?
Okay, so like it all started honestly when I was younger. I'll just start with that. When I was younger, I always loved my natural hair. I never felt like, oh, I want to have straight hair. I always loved how different, unique my hair was.
That's awesome.
So I'm grateful to God that I had that high self-esteem.
And I think you had I think I remember now, kind of thinking back, her hair was well taken care of. Like this was pink moisturizer days. So not going into the ingredients list on that, but I think she had, her hair was moisturized and it looked healthy, and yeah.
My mom had a lot to do with that. My mom was the one who was always helping me with my hair when I was younger, and then it was more her decision. She just got tired of combing through the kinks, and she said, you know what, I think it's time for you to get your hair straighten with a relaxer, and that was, I
Mhm.
think, I want to say like seventh grade.
Mhm.
So not too long after that, once I went into high school, I realized, well, I like it, but it's not really me. That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking. I felt like it wasn't really who I was. I don't
Yeah.
see anything wrong with it.
Mhm.
Those
Yeah. And this
women
isn't to
that want to,
condemn
yeah, if you want
relaxed
to
people.
do
I
it,
still will
yeah,
straighten my hair with
there's nothing
with
wrong.
heating tools, which some naturals are like, don't do
Yeah,
anything. Like our hair is versatile. You take care of it. I mean, I think
exactly.
protect it if you are going to do
And
something
that
like
was
that.
another
But
thing when I was in high school as a freshman. I remember I took swimming class
mm,
and I noticed that my hair was starting to fall more, and I was getting nervous because I noticed a big difference. My hair was
wow.
long and it was getting short, and I was starting to see like it was thinning out,
Yeah.
and I was
So it
scared.
seemed like it was maybe a little more vulnerable in that
Yeah.
stretched out state.
And I just had this whole feeling when I get older, I don't want to be stuck with my hair being so thin I can't grow it back out. So
Yeah.
that's when I realized, no, I want to go natural for sure.
Yeah. For me, I don't know. It was like, it seems like there was a whole season of my life that was kind of, there's some hard things happening. And then at some point, it was like, I almost felt like it was going against the grain for me. Like, I'm just like, this is who I am and this is what I'm going to be, And I didn't know really what I was working with. I didn't understand. I remember like I can think back, I guess, and kind of maybe not remember, time by time, but when I did go natural, I was looking at, I didn't realize how many hair types, let me say, that there are within our natural
Right,
hair. I
right.
thought like black women have the same kind of hair. Even
Yeah.
though it's interesting because my sisters tend to have curlier textures than I do. And I guess I didn't quite understand why my hair didn't look exactly like theirs, but now I understand that even within our ethnicity is,
Yeah.
black women and, whatever else is mixed in with us. There's
Very
different
diverse.
things. I have also Irish, Native American,
Yeah.
whatever, but it just generally, umbrella speaking, there's different textures, even though our
Yeah.
hair might look the same, like from the offset.
Right.
Um, so that's something that I had to learn because I'd be looking at these other naturals videos and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
so when my hair grows and then it can be like down to here, or I can have this, long or bigger style, and I didn't realize
Yeah.
there's something called shrinkage, and
Yeah.
my hair is not necessarily going to look like somebody with like a 4A or,
Yeah.
some other B or whatever,
Yeah.
It's like I thought just it took time,
Yeah.
once it gets so long, I would be able to do these styles. But it's like I've learned that even though my hair grows, it doesn't always look like it's
Yeah.
growing because it shrinks, which is
Yeah.
actually still a healthy thing for
I
my
think you
hair.
carry shrinkage really well, by the way. Like
Oh,
sometimes I
thanks.
do, I don't like shrinkage, but I'm looking at your hair.
Oh,
I'm wondering, how did you even like what do you do to have this style? Because it looks
well,
really good.
so I'll show you an example of shrinkage. Okay, so if you look at it, it looks like it's up here. But if I stretch it out or if I straighten it, you'll see it's much longer than what it looks. So that's a good example of shrinkage, if you can see that. Like it really doesn't
Yeah.
show the fullness of the length of your hair. And so sometimes I'm like, but I want my hair to, because I've like, for the majority of my life,
Yeah.
wanted long hair, so I'm like, but I want to have this long hair. And the shrinkage was kind of getting in the
Yeah.
way. So sometimes I'll still straighten it because I do like to see the
Yeah.
length, but then other times it's like, I just let it kind of do its thing. And I think moisture is, a big
For
part
sure,
of
for
it. But
sure.
yeah, moisture is something that I've learned. And even more so lately, that's probably the main thing I focus on with my hair. Like, even if I'm not styling it all the time,
Yeah.
I understand it needs moisture.
Speaking of moisture, what kind of moisture do you like to use typically?
So I'm not 100%. I mentioned this in other videos onto all natural things, but when you start to read ingredients in the products in the store, let me tell you, you pull out your phone and start like searching out some of those ingredients and their
Mm-hmm.
potential side effects. You might just want to leave that stuff on the shelf, which I have done, more than one time.
Yeah.
And so I lately have made some of my own oils. Lately, or this style, I had other oils in and I didn't wash them. I just rinsed my hair and then I loaded it up with this shea and hemp um, body butter mix, which is really
Okay.
made for the body, but I'm like, it still works for the hair. So that's kind of what I'm working with now is a mixture of my own oils I've been using, and then just recently, just last night, I rinsed my hair, loaded it up this time, because I was thinking like maybe one of the issues with my moisture retention or texture that when I'm feeling it's dry or whatever, maybe I'm using not enough. So like I said, I'm
Okay.
still learning,
Yeah.
still learning how my hair works. I've learned that it has a different texture when it's moisturized and um, well taken care of than when
Yeah.
it's dry. So that's another thing that I've learned about my hair. Like the curl pattern pops a lot more when it's actually moisturized.
Definitely.
So,
No,
yeah.
yeah. I agree. And I feel like for me, not only moisture, but for me, what's important for my hair is just making sure I have a washing routine. It's really important for hair growth to make sure that you are washing your hair. I know that we try to stretch it, and I think it depends on, like, I don't know, I
How
guess
you
we all
stretch
have
it,
different schedules for our hair.
Mhm.
Sometimes it is good to wait a little bit, but
Yeah.
I think it's
I miss
important
that
for
too.
me. I don't like to have too much buildup in my
Yeah.
roots, so I do try to wash it a
Yeah.
little bit more than I used to. I used to wait longer, like maybe like a week, but I've been doing it more frequently now, like maybe every 3 days.
Yeah. So for me, I don't even if I like water in my hair. Like I like actually when I'm stressed out, I feel like it's more of an emotional like therapy for me to go and wet my hair up. Like my scalp feels better, my hair feels better. It just is kind of therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
So even if I'm not washing it with soap, sometimes I'll just wet it, which sometimes it's to the benefit if my hair is
I
dry.
love that feeling when you plug your ears and you hear the water.
Yeah,
The sensation.
the water just going through my hair
Yeah.
and getting it moisturized and yeah. So also I do detangle my hair in soaking wet water. That's the main way I detangle my hair, even though it's
Yeah.
not recommended by a lot of people. That's what I found works for
Yeah.
my curl pattern. So
I
you
do it
still
too
need to be
recently.
gentle.
Yeah.
And I go from ends to roots.
Yeah, I started doing that too, actually. I used to have
Yeah.
that fear and I would just finger comb through it, but I was listening, one of my friends was telling me, you know what, our hair is stronger than we think it is, and that's talking about every ethnicity, it doesn't matter. Hair in general it's stronger than we think it is. So
But at the same time, it needs
yeah,
healthy care,
definitely.
right? Like, 'cause some people have, I think, misinterpreted our hair to be like indestructible because of the texture, and sometimes it's pulled really hard, sometimes it's combed really roughly, and that's not conducive to the growth of our hair either. Like wearing really tight styles.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely.
like always needing to have our edges perfect. Like I prefer to have curly edges than to brush the life out of them and make them disappear. So that's one of the things. Like transitioning to natural, I've had to learn to relinquish some of the control of perfection. Like, when I was relaxed, it's like, okay, let me get these curls right, let me get this straight enough, however. But natural, it's more like you're almost kind of letting your hair do what it wants to do sometimes instead of always forcing it into styles because you learn it's not necessarily a healthy thing to do for your hair.
Definitely. Yeah.
So now we're going to jump into like what the mental emotional aspects of being natural are. And this could vary from person to person. So by the way, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. Please like this video if it's interesting to you. Hit that notification bell so you get new videos. I've been doing some uploads lately. I've been home more these days. So I have been able to get some more videos in. But where was I going?
We were gonna talk about the emotional aspect.
Mental, emotional. Oh, I was gonna say, if you happen to not have had any negative mental or emotional connotations around your natural hair, no matter your ethnicity, you could be black, white, Asian, Hispanic, whatever you are, because I'm sure, I know there are different things in different cultures, even with just whatever body types and all these things. So if you haven't had any negative reactions, or if you had someone who did a really good job at encouraging you and telling you that your hair is beautiful, I want you to also put that in the comments below. and let us know how that was, because that's not everybody's experience. Was it
Mhm.
yours?
No, honestly,
Not
no.
mine
But
either.
I mean,
So
I've had a share of both, so
yeah. And actually, I will
yeah.
say, like, sometimes it's been people of other ethnicities who have
Uh-huh.
actually been more of a blessing to me than our own
The same.
ethnicities.
Yes, I have that experience too.
That's very interesting.
Yes.
Like, what's up with that? You know, like, for example, I probably mentioned this in another video, but I went to get my hair done at a hair school one time, and this lady, the instructor, she was asking the student, she was like, "What do you see?" And the student was like, "I don't know." And then she was like, "They're just tiny little curls." And to hear my hair referred to as curls, not
Hmm.
kinks, not naps, not, those words that sometimes come with a really negative connotation, as in, like, they're linked with bad, like,
Hmm.
to hear somebody say these are curls. And I
Hmm.
had actually another lady do that, a Caucasian lady was, clipping my ends, and I think she said something about curls maybe.
Yeah.
But so, and then, just somebody else who's like, saw, was talking about my hair and said, "That's good hair." And so just, and then there
Hmm.
was a lady, and actually an African lady, and she was like really complimenting my hair. And it's crazy because it's like it was almost hard to believe her, because she was saying, "Don't mess up your hair." Like, what do you
Hmm.
mean don't mess up
Yeah.
my hair? Like, people don't like my hair
Hmm.
texture. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So it's interesting that it's been actually people from different cultures or ethnicities who have sometimes been the most beneficial in me embracing
Yeah.
my natural hair.
Even just speaking on the whole idea of good hair, like something that my dad is, I feel like he's just kind of put into me, which I really believe in that.
Yeah,
Like there is no
actually,
such thing as
he's my oldest brother.
yes,
He's spoken that, and he's like,
yeah,
"Weave is not made for you.
that
It's not
too,
made for
yeah.
you."
But it would always bother him when he would hear somebody say, "Oh, you've got good hair." Like there is no such thing as good hair. Like
Yeah,
hair is hair,
it's
and
like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Like that
exactly. And for
person.
me, like I think that like to hear somebody say good hair, even if it's a compliment to me, it's like you're implying that
There
there's
is a
such thing
bad.
as bad hair, and there's no
Yeah,
such thing as bad hair.
it's like
So
God created us the way He wanted to create
exactly,
us, and we
yeah,
should take care of what we're given. And
yeah,
so, on bad days, it's those bad negative comments that have affected me to make me feel bad about my
right,
hair.
right,
Or in those days where I'm having a hard time taking care of my hair, it's taking me a long time, where it's not detangling like I
yeah,
wanted to, and then I get down, and it's like, I think part of it is tied into that, cultural stuff of like, oh,
mhm,
this hair texture is good hair, this
yeah,
hair texture is bad hair.
yeah,
And I, would fall more into that bad hair category according to
yeah,
people, but that's not true. My hair is good too. It's
yeah,
just different. And,
mm.
it's like I've heard also, people with straight hair, they want curly hair. People with curly hair,
Oh
they want
yeah,
straight hair.
I've
So
heard that a lot.
it's like, it's not even,
Yeah,
um, maybe not to, maybe it hasn't been shunned to the extent that sometimes, um, black ethnicities will shun certain hair types, but there's
mm.
sometimes that stigma or that
Mhm.
disunity about what's good, what's bad.
Yeah, definitely. And I would also say like in addition to that, like growth, have you ever had experience with somebody telling you like, "Oh, does your hair grow any longer?" Like as if it's not enough. Like I don't know. I feel
Like
like
it feels
sometimes
like
beauty is
insignificant.
like referred to as like if you have really long hair, the long hair don't
Yeah,
care kind of thing.
yeah,
I've gotten that a lot in my
that's
experience. Like,
interesting.
oh, it's almost like you're
But
saying
her
like
hair actually is pretty long, and she
it
does some
just
creative things with her hair.
I just don't always have it straightened all the way out.
Yeah,
And
she
I
gets shrinkage, but
yeah.
I don't think her shrinkage is not as tight as mine. Like, people have a kind of percentages of,
Yeah.
like, yeah,
And I like my hair. I like the
yeah,
size, the length of my hair. Like I'm okay with my hair not being all the way down to my feet. Like it's okay if that
yeah,
never happens. I think that
yeah.
it's beautiful that we all have different shapes, different sizes. I feel like
Hmm.
it would be a boring world if everybody had the same thing. Everybody
Yeah.
had long hair, straight hair, or
Hmm.
curly hair.
And I
Yeah.
wish that I had embraced my shorter lengths and understood the importance of moisture more, and played around with the texture more when I had shorter hair too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, More so in hindsight. When I first went natural, the mental emotional part was so strong that I actually
Hmm.
covered my hair
Oh.
for a while when I first went natural.
Oh,
You went with
wow.
me in
Oh, that's
one of my
right.
chops. One of
Oh,
one
wow.
of part of it was the length after I cut
Okay.
it, and then another part of it was the texture. So
Yeah.
there was and I do believe that a woman's hair is her glory, and we should take care of it, and not just chop it off and not but in that time where I was going
Mm.
natural, like I wish that I played more with my texture.
It's
So
funny because surprisingly, I enjoyed that time of my journey. I did the big chop and I was scared, but I was encouraged to do it. My
yeah,
beautician that I went to, she said, "Oh, I think you could pull it off really nicely." So I said, "Okay, you convinced me. Just go ahead and do it."
yeah.
So she chopped it, and I don't know how many inches, but it was really short. And I
Mine was
looked at
like
it, and I loved it. And I had the little curls, and I did
wow.
all types of stuff.
Yeah,
I put on like headbands, and honestly, I really loved it. I just made
yeah.
sure I had my cute earrings, and then as it was growing, I got excited about that.
I
Eventually,
think
I
you
was
were probably more in. I think Bria has been in a more mentally healthy state
really
with her hair than probably
okay.
I have. Yeah.
Okay,
So
yeah.
yeah,
I
but
think
I've
maybe too
grown.
with experience and like with what's being put in you too,
Yeah.
the comments. I
Yeah.
think that has a lot to do with it too.
Absolutely. And
Um,
even, it's not like it's something I even heard all the time necessarily. I mean, here and there, there were things, but even, what I did hear, like, it seriously had an impact on just
yeah,
me being who God made me to
yeah,
be. And some people have talked about, like, the comments that they get when they finally wear their natural hair, like, oh, are you, part of some revolution or something, but it's like, at the
yeah,
end of the day, this is just who God made us to be
yeah.
in the way that He fashioned us. And so it should be okay to be yourself. Like,
Hmm.
why? What's this crazy stuff about there having to be a law about, you can wear your natural hair? I mean,
Yeah,
I can see if it's like, I still think that we shouldn't just go around necessarily
neglecting your
looking
hair.
crazy.
Comb your hair. Yes, comb it.
I
Wash it.
mean, some of the artists have kind of changed my mind in a sense, because I know that some people, these artists, they'll do extreme things for their brand or whatever. So, but I mean, there is an order to things,
There's
and
a-
if we're just getting up out of the bed looking any kind of way, going to
Oh,
work
man.
talking about how you doing, I'm a professional. Like, I mean, you might want to consider
Take
what.
some pride in yourself.
Yeah, it's
I
like
mean,
you don't go to work in pajamas.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
it doesn't mean your hair. I'm not saying your hair has to be straight. It
No.
doesn't mean that.
No.
It's just take care of what you have.
Yeah.
Just like I say, you don't go to work in
Exactly.
pajamas.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how do you think those attitudes were kind of formed,
Hmm.
like the negative ones about natural hair?
Okay. Well, I feel like in certain parts of my family,
Mm-hmm.
it was just like highly, what's the word? What am I trying to say? Like it was highly looked upon to like have your hair straight. And I remember one comment was made. There was, I don't know how many years ago, there was this black woman on like this beauty pageant,
Mm-hmm.
and some of my family members were upset because she had her hair in an afro. And in my heart I was like, wait, like what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
And so just seeing that, like, oh, why did she go? That's so unprofessional. Like, I was just kind of shocked because that's who God made us to be.
Yeah.
And I didn't, that's beautiful. She was absolutely beautiful. I didn't
Yeah.
see what the problem was. But just seeing that in my, and not just in my, some of my family members, but in our culture, like, it kind of breaks my heart. Like I said, I'm not putting anybody down for wearing weave, but I
Yeah,
feel
I've
like
worn weave,
there's nothing wrong with it. But I feel like there's a lot of like
we put a lot
hiding.
into it. Like, we find a lot of confidence in it. It's not even
And it's seen as
real.
like, oh, this is better than my hair. Like, I don't
Yeah.
want that to ever be the thing. Like, I want
Yeah.
us as black women to love our hair and embrace it and not hide underneath.
Yeah.
It just
Like, if you're
depends
gonna
on
wear it, like, have,
yeah.
okay. But the thing is, like she's saying, like, don't think that it's better than who you are. It's plastic. And that's one thing that I thought about. Like, we put this plastic in our hair and we get more confident.
Exactly.
Or sometimes it's somebody else's hair, or whatever it is, some synthetic fibers. We're putting it in our hair, and then we're like, oh, I'm a better person because of
Yeah.
this.
I wish I could see
Instead
it
of
more too, because I see a lot of like head coverings, satin bonnets
hmm
sometimes, and just scarves, like the head coverings. And I mean, I
yeah,
get
it's
everybody
like
has their
some
preference,
people are
but
put to shame for going out
and I don't really see much of us, showing our natural hair,
and
whereas other cultures, you see them, they have no shame. They
yeah,
have their hair out
yeah,
loose whenever,
short,
whenever.
long, like they
Yeah,
embrace it,
I
and
wish we
it's
would
like,
have more of that in our culture.
and I think I've kind of drawn confidence from that too. It's like looking at other cultures. If their hair is short, they're not ashamed of their hair being short because it's
Yeah,
not long. That's just where it is, and
yeah.
maybe they even put it there. But it's like,
Yeah,
I guess there was also a thing when, growing up, it's like if your hair is short, it's shameful too.
yeah,
So that's also another thing to work through.
yeah,
So, yeah.
definitely.
All right. So, do you feel like most or all of the things that you did struggle with natural hair? Well, I think, like you said, I think she was more mentally, emotionally healthy than I was. What about my hair? Because you said you liked your hair when you were younger, and for me, um, it's like the whole thing of comparison, I guess, and like
Mm.
what people kind of hint to or say, or like what's culturally accepted. Like hearing those things, it's funny because it's like little by little, like we can take on prejudices and discrimination because of the things we hear around us, even if we don't intend to.
Mm-hmm.
And I've mentioned that in another video. It's like even like racial things, like you might hear these little things here and there and you don't mean to take them in, but sometimes it becomes part of you. And when you
Mm-hmm.
notice it, you need to root it out.
Yes,
And I think, that happens across cultures, across races. It's like
definitely.
we need to pull some stuff out and uproot some of this negative, bitter stuff,
Mm-hmm.
so that we can love the way that we need to love other
Definitely.
people, love ourselves. And God said, love your neighbors. We love ourselves. How are we going to
Mm.
love somebody else if we don't know how to love ourselves, right?
Wow. Yeah.
We're going to look for them to fill us up.
Yeah.
And that can be very burdensome,
Definitely.
speaking from experience.
Yes.
Okay, so how have you changed your perspective on natural hair since you went
Hmm.
through some of those negative things,
Let's see.
or have you been able to?
Yes, I believe that for me, like changing my perspective
Mm-hmm.
has looked like just not listening to what media says about beauty.
Mm-hmm.
I think my dad has a huge, like, what's the word? He has a
Fathers are
huge.
powerful.
Yes, he is. He has a huge influence on my life
Yeah.
because he would always like be the first to say like Barbie, like the Barbie doll, like that's not the only type of beauty that there is.
Yeah.
And like you're beautiful. He would always put all those words into me.
It's
So
powerful.
he would always tell me, I like when your hair is natural, because sometimes I would have my hair straight, and he would
Yeah.
say, you look better. You look nice, but you look better when your hair is natural. So I
Yeah.
think that attitude just stuck with me. Like,
It really
yeah,
builds your
he's
confidence.
right.
Like fathers are
Yeah.
powerful. If you're a dad, don't take your encouragement for granted. I'll tell you, like, even me being where I am by God's grace, a lot of that encouragement came from my dad.
Yeah.
So fathers are super important. God gives them a way of building confidence in their children. So watch your words.
Yeah.
That's also one of my questions is what do you think that parents should do to encourage their daughters
Yeah.
from a young age?
I think
of
modeling, honestly, like showing
Absolutely.
them that you're proud of your natural hair will encourage them to do the same thing. If they see you wearing, weaves all the time, which again, it's whatever you want to do, but if they see you doing that, if they see you straighten your hair all
Like
the
you
time,
feel like
putting
you
braids,
can't ever go out with your own hair.
and you barely ever wear natural hair, then
Yeah.
they're gonna probably want to do the same thing.
Yeah, they can build up their
Actions are more
ideas
powerful
about
than words.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
well, why won't my mom
Yeah.
go outside?
So I would
like
just
that?
encourage you to just show them. I mean, you can tell them, but also
Yeah.
show them.
That's a good point because
Yeah.
I was thinking about the encouragement part, but the showing is powerful. Just like
Definitely.
actions speak louder than words, right?
Yes.
And so any woman, regardless of ethnicity, regardless of culture, because I am a multicultural hearted person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like I don't, I love, cultures. I love ethnicities.
Yes. She's been
So
all
I don't.
over the world. I mean,
In my heart,
all over
maybe.
the world, like in the sense of like you're very
People.
open to people socially. She's been to some like the church that you went to,
Yeah.
where you when you were in school. You were
Yes, I
at,
went to Indian Christian
Yes.
church. I've gone to white church. I grew up in black church.
even with your Christian music interests. It's just all over in Indian music.
Yeah. I visited Hispanic church.
Yes.
I have multicultural friends. And God has really put people into my life. Like God has put different groups of people in my life at different times.
Yeah.
Like international people, like Haitian, African, like Ghanaian, Nigerian, Hispanic. You know, white.
You
Black.
speak Spanish.
She's
bilingual.
She's better than I. But yeah, I have a heart to travel in the future, Lord willing. But I love people, and I don't want to like be racist. I don't want to be prejudiced and biased.
Mhm.
Like I want to root that stuff out. I want to
Yeah.
advocate for people to love each other. You know, across ethnicities. Like not thinking it's better than worse than. It's just like the good here, bad here. Like where does all this crazy stuff come from? But anyways, this is why we need one reason we should talk about. We need to tear down those things.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
Yeah. So what are your natural hair goals?
Yeah.
Do you think that you'll stay natural?
Of course, all the way, 101%.
Wow, she's got
I
it.
love my natural hair.
That's
so-
awesome. What are your goals? Do you have goals
My
for
goals?
length or just for
Oh
health?
yeah, I mean, I would love for my hair to grow
Mhm.
some more. So definitely any tips are welcome. You can
Yeah,
put in
those
the
in
comments. I would
Oh.
love that. So that I think that pretty much would be, and then just
Yeah.
kind of just taking care of what I have and just making sure that I maintain what I have.
Yeah, and I've heard
Yeah.
that encouragement from other YouTuber like basically taking care of the health of your hair is important. Like you want length, take care of the health. You know, like even if your goal is not more length, still take care of the health of your hair at the end of the day. But yeah, I think a big part of length retention is making sure your hair is healthy, not just like trying to do all the things, but not moisturizing your hair. Like they say, you know, your hair could be growing, but if it's breaking all the time because it's lacking moisture, you might not be seeing the progress that it's actually making, which can make you think that your hair doesn't grow, but it does.
Yeah.
You know, just like if you've been relaxed before, you understand that after a certain amount of time, you need a refreshing relaxer because your new growth has grown out. That shows your hair has been growing all along. It's just, you know, when I was relaxed, my hair was somewhat, you know, brittle and you know, like I said, I straighten it. I try to, you know, I was more of a perfectionist with my relaxed hair, and it wasn't always healthy. So even now with my natural hair, like I'm learning moisture. If I don't do other things, moisture is still a big deal because that's where length is going to come from, which I would love to have very long hair one day. And by God's grace, you know, it's longer than it's been. Maybe it's the longest it's ever been. It did get kind of pretty long in high school.
Yeah.
I was
when you
wearing
blow it out,
weave.
it's pretty long.
I was wearing weave all the time. Yeah. And I did post some shorts of some semi-straightened hair. So if you want to check out my shorts, I did post some of those.
Yeah. So is that, would you consider that to be your goal? Length and retention?
Yes. I mean, sometimes I do play with the idea of what it would be like to have some shorter styles. But yes, overall, length is my goal.
Do you see yourself staying natural forever?
Hopefully. Hopefully. Yeah. I mean, even given what I was talking about the news, they were talking about how hair straighteners can cause uterine cancer, and they're coming out with these studies. Like, again, it's just best to embrace what God gives us, and we should stop trying to be other people. But yeah, it's sad though to think about that, and I'm like, well, you know, thank God that we did decide eventually to go natural. And if you haven't yet, you might want to consider that. Just give your body time to detox from all the stuff. And really embrace who God made you to be with your natural, beautiful
I have no regrets.
hair.
Honestly,
just take care of it.
Chemicals were just too much for my hair. I couldn't take it. And it was breaking my heart because my hair was super long when I first relaxed it, and then I saw how it was slowly starting to wither away.
Mm-hmm.
So I have no regrets.
And that's money, and that's time, and
I do my own hair. I
Yeah.
honestly don't go to the beautician. Every once in a blue moon, like for like something special.
Yeah, for the most part, I do my own too. Even the last time I trimmed it myself, So sometimes you take those chances. Some people aren't comfortable with that.
Yeah.
But I love different ethnicities of people. I love variety in my life in general. So I will take chances and do stuff like try to trim my own hair, make something from experimental, like experimentally cook, or try a lot of different. That's just the personality that God gave me.
What's your like everyday hairstyle that you?
I don't have an everyday one because that's not exactly true, accurate. I don't always have an everyday one because I like versatility. I like to change it up, which is one reason that I haven't gotten dreadlocks.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I see some really cute ones. Not saying that I just had my mindset that one day I'm going to get dreadlocks, but it'd be fun to try them for a while. But I don't want to have really pretty cut my hair out.
That's a commitment for sure.
Yeah. But, it's like, I like to switch my hair up a lot though. Like a lot of times if I'm just doing a go-to like quick style, it'll be like 2 flat twists.
Okay. Yeah.
That's a very common one for me.
Yeah. Okay.
But I just did this yesterday.
Yeah.
Before that, I had flat twisted going this way.
Oh, okay.
And I think braided the ends.
Yeah.
So that was in for probably 2-3 weeks or so. Okay. Just something I did one day. Life,
Nice.
I didn't worry about doing my hair too much.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Yep.
But thank you for joining me on this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please comment what was the most impactful thing that you heard or that you think or that you want to encourage in this video. Let's end on what's your number one tip for natural hair?
Number one tip for natural hair. I would say basically we already said it. Just moisture, 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 and moisture.
That was my short that I just did. That was my number one tip too. So naturally speaking, moisture.
And I learned from, I'm going to actually quote Natural, I think her name's Natural 85.
Go ahead.
Love her, by the way. You should subscribe to her. She said that moisture, let's see if I can say it right. Like you need the moisture, but you also need the water to lock in the moisture. So you need the oil, and then the water helps to lock it in so it stays in. And twisting your hair also is a huge thing because it helps to keep the moisture in. Once you untwist your hair, then it starts to like dry out. So moisture and water.
Yes. Yeah. And water is a big difference between relaxed and natural hair. Like I was mentioning in a video, I think on one of my shorts. So relaxed, you're more trying to typically keep your hair dry because you want to keep it straight. When you go natural, you got to shift that mindset because our natural hair thrives off of moisture.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's the natural hair texture that doesn't, at least within like, African American type hair that doesn't need moisture as like a number one goal.
Yes.
So, I mean, even I know in Caucasian communities or Hispanic or whatever, I mean, still there's the washing process, probably washing more often because sometimes their hair is producing more oil, whereas some of our hair tends to be more on the dry side. So we need to do the water, but then not just water and not just oils, but both.
Yes.
They work together.
Definitely.
So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this, and I hope that this video can help you process some of the cultural stigmas and uproot them and really embrace the texture of hair that God designed you with, because what He made is good.
Amen.
Amen. My hair is good. Your hair is good.
Yes.
All God's children got good hair.
Amen.
Bye.